Hey guys, if you're on this segment, we are now on segment 3. This is where we have the conclusion to the 3-part story here. So, hey guys, I'm Russell Westcott. I help real estate investors start, grow, and scale the real estate investing portfolio of your dreams. So if you're watching this segment, I sure hope you've watched the first 2, which sets up the story, which sets up a lot of the nitty-gritty how to, soup to nuts, A to Z, whatever you want to say. Derek and I go really deep into a case study, into a demonstration, into sharing with you all the ins and the outs and the how-to about how to grow and scale a portfolio of real estate. So if you are watching this one on its own, it is a wonderful story and no problem. Watch this one independent of its own, but I highly encourage you to check out the other 2 episodes as well. So I could go on and on, but this is going to be the conclusion to the 3-part story about how Derek has gone literally from starting with no money to building a portfolio well over $50 million, and what are the how-to tactical, practical steps on to accomplish that for yourself. So remember, when you have this conversation with another person, think back to a lot of these strategies that we talk about. And if you're just like a lot of the people I have conversations with on a daily basis, you want more. You want to have more financial freedom. You want more time free. You want more time to spend with family. You want more time to spend with friends. You want more impact on your community. You want more impact within your family unit. That is what this is all about, is how to grow and scale and get more. So guys, let's jump right into this episode and we'll talk to you at the very end. I have a very special announcement and something very special to share with you at the end of this video. Enjoy. Back here at Derek Peever, good friend and a real estate expert, super sweet guy. And man, you know more about joint venturing than a lot of people out there. So I think we're in for a real key treat here. So you mentioned just before we had the swap over the camera, I'm sitting there going, no, don't end. He's on like an amazing point. And we were talking about the step in the process that I've bought the place on my own merit. I qualified for my own mortgage. I wrote my own check. I had my own lawyer. I own the place. Now, after the joint venture agreement gets signed.
Correct.
Right? And this thing called a trust declaration.
Right.
Okay, so talk to me, what did this might be a new concept for people. What is the trust declaration?
Yeah, so many years ago, we were actually investigated by FICOM because we had ads running in the paper for properties to rent. And when they checked on us, we were not licensed property managers. So they said, well, what's the deal? And we had to go down to their office in Surrey Center. And this is a bunch of ex-RCMP officers.
What's FICOM before?
Financial Institutions Commission. And this is the government body that basically regulates and monitors mortgage brokers, property managers, realtors to some level, I believe.
Is it a BC specific thing?
Yes.
Or is it kind of, I imagine each jurisdiction has its own version.
Actually, no, I think FICOM is national.
Okay.
But you deal with each superintendent of real estate in each province.
Okay,
right?
so that's a big fear that a lot of people have is what about the securities commissions and things like that? So you actually got found out.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So we had to go down there and prove that we were a part owner of each of the ads that we had. So I always warn people, don't do that brother-in-law a favor by renting his place out and running an ad, because if you can't prove that you're an owner or a licensed property manager, you could be in some hot water, right? But back to the trust declaration, what they recommended at that time was they said, okay, you are legally an owner, you have a signed joint venture agreement, fair enough. At first, they didn't think it would qualify.
They didn't say that a joint venture agreement had no legal... He had no ownership position, even with an agreement.
First, they did take that position. They were very skeptical at first, at the first level I was dealing with. But once that FICOM officer, who'd probably never seen it before, escalated it to the superintendent of real estate, it became clear that, in BC, you do not have to be on title to legally be an owner of property. And that's one of the frustrating things I face every day in these stratas, is that they will not recognize us as a legal owner of the property, even though we have a formal joint venture agreement and trust declaration that is in registrable form.
So you register your joint venture agreement?
I do not.
No, okay.
And the reason that I do not is because in BC you trigger transfer tax.
Right.
Right? So in Alberta, no problem. But in BC, we don't do that because it's a big cost. We trust our partners that they're not going to refinance on us or sell it out from under us. We control access to the property, which is pretty critical, even though we're not on title.
Yeah. So this trust agreement, and guys, the best way I can probably describe it is a lot of people use this as an agreement for you buy the name you buy the property in your personal name, right? Because banks have rules and they lend to people rather than corporations easier.
Right.
But then you get a trust declaration that you are holding it in trust for your corporation. So your corporation can get all the benefits of the ownership. There's a legal ownership and there's a beneficial ownership.
Right, and that's completely above board and very common.
So the legal ownership position is Russell Westcott, joint venture partner.
Right.
The beneficial ownership is Russell Westcott and Peever Con.
And every year when you do your taxes, you report to CRA according to your beneficial ownership.
Okay.
Right? And to do everything above board.
Right. Yeah, so it's 100%. It's all, you have a lawyer draft up these documents. So what does the trust declaration typically say on it? Pretty simple.
So
and you said you keep it separate from.
Very simple.
Yeah.
So it's actually 2 pages only.
Okay.
And what it does is it takes out the trust language out of the body of the joint venture agreement into a separate agreement that basically makes it crystal clear to everybody involved that there is a trust situation going on with a bare trustee, with them holding it in trust for maybe their entity and my entity, or themselves personally and their joint venture partner.
Okay. So a little bit of legal mumbo jumbo, but at the end of the day, it is lawyers that are doing this.
Yes.
And it's 100% full. You're not hiding any of what you're doing. You're actually providing more transparency right from the beginning. And if anybody has any issues along the way, we won't do the deal. And bottom line is, I'm the person writing the check and qualifying for the mortgage. If I agree to it, I don't think can governing bodies be upset with what's going on because I'm the one writing the check.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and I want to add, this is very technical, but this is real, and I want to give you guys everything that you're going to need, hopefully, to make progress. Is that just 2 years ago, the superintendent of BC changed their position on an existing regulations. So there was no new regulations, but they changed their position on existing laws around property management. And they came to us again, even though many years ago we took their advice, we were approved to continue operating as we were. We bought many, many, many more properties under the structure that they approved and recommended. They came to us just 2 years ago and said, we've changed our position. And we had to do amending agreements retroactively to all of our joint ventures in British Columbia. It was a major undertaking, dealing with each of the partners and explaining to them what the situation was and adding, a 20-page amending agreement to our joint venture. And basically the nutshell of it, guys, was there's a few options that we had to comply to their new position. And the simplest one that we found was, because typically we don't put our own money, we put our time, our systems, relationships. They had a bit of an issue with that because a part of what we do, a portion of what we do, is property management related activities, such as collecting rent and things like that. There's a ton we do that property managers don't, and they recognize that. But what we had to do was, let's say they put up $100,000. What we had to do now is a promissory note where they're actually lending us our percentage, typically, of the down payment. So let's say it's a 50-50 deal.
Okay, so in this example we talked about, I was putting $250,000 in. Right. We had to get a promissory note for $125,000.
Correct. In 2 different deals.
Yeah,
so it's 60-60, whatever, right?
Okay.
And basically what the promissory note is, it says that you're earning interest on a portion of your down payment, which was half in this case, in addition to our 50-50 split. And the way that we structured it so that it worked for everybody was that that interest gets paid to you at refinance or sale.
Okay.
So it's not a burden on us during the hold.
Wow.
Okay. Now, let me add to that. I know this is a bit of a brain bender. You might have to rewind this a few times, but it's at commercially feasible interest. Okay.
Whatever that means.
Exactly. So we basically had them approve what we're paying anywhere from 1% interest on it to 3% interest on it. For example, if it's an unfurnished rental that only produces $200 a month cash flow, we feel that, 1% or $50 a month or whatever it may be is feasible, commercially feasible. If it's a high yielding super suite with $1,000 a month cash flow, we felt that 2 or 3% was a feasible interest rate, and they agreed with that.
So here's what I'm really going to get to as a bottom line is a lot of people are scared of the whole avenue of securities commissions and being, found out and things like that. Here's somebody who's gone through it, and you've just addressed it immediately. You didn't hide from it. You addressed it immediately. You explained your intention. You explained your positions. You explained all the intentions and all the transparency of everything on the deal. You just dealt with it. You complied. They even changed the rules on
their position on
the rules,
yes.
right? So they moved the goalpost
exactly
on you again, and you just complied again.
Yeah, you suck it up.
And it hasn't stopped you. As a matter of fact, you're actually growing faster now than you ever have because of that. So it actually has really been a benefit.
And they said early on to my lawyer that they didn't feel that we were bad actors. It was their words. Like there's been no complaints about us. They're not worried about our integrity. He was very friendly. The superintendent actually called me himself and just said, okay, this is going to be a bit of a project, but it's what we need you to do.
Yep.
So, but one thing I would say is that we've also been attacked by cities, for our super suites, for example. And one piece of advice I would give you guys, I'm very friendly and open, and that's maybe one thing you don't want to be when you get confronted by one of these bodies, or of course friendly, but you want to get a lawyer to properly address and don't try to fully explain your whole business and invite them in. You should, I think, protect yourself and get proper counsel to correspond with them in the format that they're accustomed to.
Right. So if you really think about it, a lot of these speed bumps, and some of them cost them money and time. And, pardon my French here, guys, a little bit pain in the ass factor.
You bet.
They've been just rite of passages because you're willing to do the work that nobody else will do. Most people would have quit. Now you get to actually get the benefits of scaling your business up to $40, $50 million because you've actually got the wounds and you did the work.
Yes, and what that's done for me is it's really made me aware. There's a balance between wanting to tell the world what you're doing and how great it is, with your marketing, but also being very aware of how that appears to regulators so that they don't get the wrong impression of what you're doing. Yeah. And basically, just being very aware of it and anticipating that you will be audited. Don't be surprised when it happens. It's coming. Yeah. And you need to organize for it.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
It really is. But at the same time, some people are fearful of something that may never happen.
Very true.
Most of the people that are going to be listening to this, you're going to be raising money from family and friends and maybe friends of friends and things like that. And it's all people and you're going to do half a dozen to a dozen deals.
Right.
Maybe, right? And you probably never ever, they may never ever come after you. But here's the thing that I want to get to really drive home as clear and succinct as possible. If they do, hit it head on, deal with it, and move on. As a matter of fact, it's actually strengthen your resolve. Yeah. As a not, you're sometimes you got a PhD, a nice PhD stands for pig-headed determination. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, and I think of Warren Buffett, how he dealt with being attacked over the years, and you just get it right, get it out, get over it, right? It's, you can't just kind of tuck things away or skirt it. Just gotta, like you say, just hit it straight on. Right,
and really your entire intention has always been coming from a standpoint of doing what's right for the investor, doing everything transparent above board, complying with whatever people have, and having really good investment opportunities to investors that cannot maybe do it on their own.
Right.
Right. Okay. So you know what, I'm already hearing that we're probably going to have a part 3 and part 4 of this conversation, because Derek is such a wealth of information. But guys, we've gone deep, and we've gone really deep into the weeds. We're gonna wrap the story a bit about the conversation about the transaction, okay. And I think we're gonna make a commitment that we're gonna have another one.
Absolutely.
Right. So Mark, hold us to that as well. So gone through, bought the place. We've signed a joint venture agreement. We've got a trust agreement. Right. Then you have all your checklists. Now you put it into your model of your super suites.
Correct.
What do I, as the real estate, I'm now the investment partner. Now what happens from here typically for me?
Yeah, so basically it's very front end loaded for you. It's lawyer's appointment, the hoops of mortgage qualifying. It feels like a crazy few weeks. Mm-hmm. Once we actually complete on the property, there's a few little things to do, like signing for our new operating bank account. We create one bank account just for that property.
Yep.
Sometimes we'll add one more property if it's exact same ownership percentages into that account.
And does the bank account have both our names on it?
Yes.
Okay, both. It's a joint account, joint
Correct.
Signing as well?
Correct.
Okay.
And we don't put any restrictions on, two to sign and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Either one of us could clean it out and go to Mexico at any point. We just trust our partners and don't want those kind of restrictions on our ability to operate.
Right.
The joint venture agreement does say anything over, I believe, $2,500. We give them a courtesy, call. But basically from there, we just run through our checklist. They're going to there was one check to remove subjects. Mm-hmm. There was one check to complete the property at the lawyer with the balance of the 20% down, legal fees, transfer tax. Then there's one more check to our operating account, which typically is made up of a rule of thumb, 2% of the purchase price, which is around $7,000 for us. There's additional cost to the brick, for what we do. There's condo in a box, which is a really cool resource. It's everything you need at a furnished condo comes on one skid from Transworld Imports in Richmond.
Okay.
So it's the same thing that the hospitality industry uses. And then we still have to do decor, HomeSense, a few things we get at Walmart and stuff like that. So there's still a few $1,000s there in addition to, $5,000, let's call it, in addition to the lump sum at the brick. There's going to be, we always get the locks upgraded to key control just for better perception, quality, and obviously security. Mm-hmm. We get a really good cinematic drone tour done, which most people don't do for rentals. It's the same quality that the best realtors use.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm smelling, Derek? I'm smelling a how to do super suites franchise model of something, of checklists and process and things like that. At the end of the day, you're not going to buy all the houses in Canada, even though you're trying, right? And you're branching out there. I wonder if there would be a need or an interest of people that might want to do something like this in Grand Prairie or in Cold Lake or in Saskatoons and places like that. I think there could be. I'm smelling that there's an opportunity here, Derek.
I'm excited to work with you.
So one thing I'm also going to tell with you as well is, Derek, some of the agreements that you talked about, your joint venture agreement, your promissory note, your trust agreement.
Right.
Derek shared that with me, and I've put it on the portal for everyone to download if you are interested in that as well. So crazy amount of details here, and we are going to do this again. Okay. But before we do, I got two final things I want to branch off with. Number one is, what would you say would be some of the landmines or some of the mistakes that you've made over the past 12 years that you'd love to share with people that could help them save some time and effort and heartache?
First thing that comes to mind for me is, we talked about it before the interview. It's not about 100 properties. It's about, what makes sense for you. And if it's 12, you could be much happier and more financially successful than 100 that are not great and are distressing you out, and vacancy and everything else. Right? But fear over supply. In 2010 or so, we were closing furnished rentals, converting them back to unfurnished because we could actually rent them. And we were shifting the furniture to another city where we had more demand. And we did that work ourselves. So be very cautious of oversupply. There's a good saying from that book that Thomas Byer mentioned, that job growth starts markets and oversupply ends markets. So I've seen oversupply in Abbotsford in the last boom, 2007-8, and it feels like it's getting there again potentially now.
Right, and that's why you're branching out across the country. You're getting back into Alberta, Calgary
Yeah.
again,
Yep.
Edmonton as well.
Yes.
Oh, you can buy 4 houses for the same price as one here.
They're literally less than half price,
Yeah.
the same townhouse that we're buying in a very good area, Windermere,
Yeah.
versus, Abbotsford townhouse, which used to be on par.
Couple other mistakes that you'd like to share with people before I ask you the last question?
Couple other mistakes. There's been so many. It's hard to pick them, but what properties not to buy real quick. The ones that really did bad for me, and which still I've never lost an investor's money, but I did work for free for a long time, and not looking to do any more of that. And what they are is they're the ugly properties. So they're, the mansard around the outside. You're buying on price. You're not buying on quality.
Yeah.
And, it didn't have in-suite laundry. It didn't allow pets. The suite was phenomenal. Top floor, corner, 2 balconies, 1,100 square foot, overlooking a new park that we knew that was coming in. Nobody else did. We thought we were onto it, but it was 2007. It was peaking out, and that property corrected 20-30% because I couldn't get people in. It was flickering lights outside. It's dirty in the common area. You run into crazy people on the way to show the suite. So we really learned to buy really good quality jewels in the crown. It's the jewel in the crown policy. So, you have to be able to basically brag about it. Top floor, corner, nice view, quiet side.
Yeah, one of the things biggest lessons I've learned over there is quality matters. Quality versus quantity.
And in areas where people really want to live.
Yep. Comes back to I've talked about this, maybe I'll link up the presentation as well. It's the 3 pillars of real estate. It's what you buy, where you buy, and who you rent to. And the most important one of that is who you rent to.
Right.
What's your tenant profile? But then what property you buy and where it is dependent upon they all are interdependent of each other. If you buy a property that has a crappy tenant profile in a bad area and the wrong type of property, you're going to have a bad experience.
There's lower hanging fruit.
Yeah.
There's
absolutely.
an easier ride. Like, for example, Surrey Centre, I love the potential of Surrey Centre. We've owned condos there over the past 10 years. Today, we own none. I clearly see the appreciation potential in 20 years, but I don't need to own every city, and I just enjoy the ride in Cloverdale better than I do in Surrey Centre.
Yep. Everybody has their own niche in their own pocket, and really matching up the right property to the right tenant profile in the right area, really. So, okay. We are going to do this again. Last final question before we go. What would be Derek Peever's golden advice, your best advice you would offer everyone, maybe right now if you're just getting started in the world of raising capital, what would be your best advice you can share with people?
Favorite quote that comes to mind is to buy the farm for what it yields, not just for what it might be worth one day.
So buy based on cash flow today, not on future promise.
That's Warren Buffett.
Right on. Well done. So, guys, fire some comments below. As you can tell, this guy knows what he's talking about. Man, you've been a good student.
Thank you.
And one of my personal mandates for myself as a good coach and a teacher is the students should far exceed every result that the coach and the teacher will ever do. And that's how a good coach should hold themselves accountable. And I'm not going to make this about me because it's 100% the actions you've taken. But man, have you been an amazing student and an amazing coach and a student and an implementer. Man, I can't even talk. I'm all flustered here. So Derek, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for everything, Russ.
All right, guys, Russell Westcott here, #JVJedi. Tweet that out. We're here with Derek Peever with PeeverCon Group of Companies, and we'll talk to you very soon, guys.
Good luck, guys.
Bye for now. Hey, gang, what did you think? I sure hope you had a chance to watch all 3 episodes, all 3 segments of this wonderful story with Derek Peever. Truly how he's gone from no money, no capital to building a portfolio well across the country, across Canada, from coast to coast to coast of well over $50 million portfolio. So if you're interested in learning some of these things, watch this video series over and over again. And you know what? I had to bridge break into the private VIP vault to bring out this video series for you. So if you've enjoyed this series, or maybe you've watched another one of the videos, or you've been on my podcast, or you've listened to something I've shared on my YouTube channel, if you're interested in diving deeper, and if you're interested in learning more about that, truly what you're seeing on my YouTube channel and my podcast and all the what I would call public facing distribution of content, that truly is about 0.1% of all the information available. I've been training real estate investors for a better part of 20 years, and I have resources. I have terabytes. I think I have about 15 terabytes hard drives in my studio, in my office here, of video content and audio content and additional resources. And I have them all inside what I call the Raising Capital Academy. Now, the Raising Capital Academy is a community-based program that can help you overcome the biggest obstacle you will face in real estate, and that's where to find the capital. If you enjoyed this series with Derek Peever, just imagine hanging around with the likes of Derek Peever. The last 3 contributors to the Raising Capital Academy have built a $2.3 billion portfolio, have purchased over 2,000 units, or has also built over a $100 million portfolio. So if you're looking to grow and scale your portfolio, and maybe you're feeling a little bit stuck, you need to hang out with people that are moving forward, people that have built a portfolio of properties. Now, wherever you're watching this video series, around here will be a link if you wanted to check out the Raising Capital Academy. And we are taking applications. This is by application only. And we are right now, if you're watching this, and if you click on the link and it says applications are available, that means we are accepting applications. But it might be closed. You just never know. If you click on the link, depending on when you're watching this video, applications may be closed. So if you are interested in taking your business up to the next level, highly encourage you to check out the Raising Capital Academy today. All right, guys, stay tuned. More videos upcoming on my YouTube channel. So with that being said, hey everybody, I'm Russell Westcott. I help real estate investors start, grow, and scale the real estate investing portfolio of your dreams. Bye for now.